like a dinner with your girlfriends, I don't think that's a big deal. But
That's not what I was talking about. It wasn't a dinner. It was not a dinner.
Where did you, okay, were your friends drinking?
Yeah, my friends were drinking.
Okay, was it a party?
Yeah, it was their birthday party.
Hold on, just to be clear. When you say birthday party, so
Right.
did you go out to a restaurant?
No. It was at my friend's house. They're twins. That's why I'm saying there.
But so were they throwing a party?
Yeah, it was a party, but it wasn't like a ton of people I didn't know. It was like all my friends.
How many people were there? How many people were there?
I want to say there was like 40 because it was like they have an older sister and her friends were there.
That's a party. It's a
Right. No, I get
party,
that,
it's
but
a
I'm
party.
not going there looking for anyone. I'm just having a good time with my friends.
Wait, I have a question for you. So the only thing you've ever done with a guy is kiss them?
Yeah.
Like make out?
Yeah.
Like with tongue? Yeah.
Yo, Bales, thank you for the gifted memberships. All right. IRL Bales, thank you for the gifted 20. We have a TTS coming through them. I'm going to let the rest of the chats come through. One sec, guys. Thank you, man.
Glocktavius,
what the hell?
Ooh.
Wow.
Someone rap on the beat.
Beatboxing.
Wow, thank you.
That was really worth the
good.
money.
He got $100.
Glocktavius.
I know.
I like it.
You paid $100
How many hours did he work?
That's really good. All right. We have a bunch of chats coming in. We have Lucas. One sec.
Oh, not Lucas
Glocktavius,
again. Not Lucas
Some more
again.
money, Lucas.
Oh, he's back. Again, why the hell would a high caliber affluent man financial entangle and jeopardize half his wealth to marry you if you're not willing to have kids? What do you offer that a friends with benefits doesn't? And he goes on to continue just a moment before I have you give your response. He says, if anything, given that you're both depreciating assets, a friends with benefits can be swapped out for a younger and newer model once fully amortized and depreciated. Okay, some financial terms there. Thank you, Lucas.
Lucas is bored.
Dang, Lucas spent $500 tonight.
So nasty.
Quick response to Lucas, if you'd like.
Lucas, are you going to trade out your wife for a younger woman when she gets too old for you?
Right, Leonardo DiCaprio style.
Dude, he's dating someone that's like an 06. Isn't that crazy?
No one over 25.
What do you mean?
Leonardo. Oh no, they just said Leonardo DiCaprio.
Why is that
I thought
crazy?
you were
Oh, he's dating someone that's like
six.
no, he's dating someone that's an 06 and like I'm an 06 and like he could totally be my dad. Like that's just crazy to me.
Wait, why is that crazy?
Because that's so creepy. That is so,
Why is
that's
it
like how
creepy?
what's her
It's
name
weird to
Bonnie
be
Blue is like, oh,
interchangeable
I
like
want
that.
like barely legals. That's so creepy.
Yeah,
that's like borderline.
I mean, Bonnie Blue's a little different because she's like she's like
yeah,
doing
it's like
sex
shock
work.
value.
I mean, that's a bit
no, but
different,
I just think that like old people going after young people
I think
is kind
high
of
value
creepy.
men are
Why-
also
why is it
not
creepy?
ran through.
Isn't her fertility
Leonardo
higher?
DiCaprio's
Was she
definitely
supposed to
ran
go?
Absolutely.
Leonardo is supposed to go for an old bag that's has a how many sex partners? When
I don't know.
she's,
I feel like if he was of
ready to
value,
settle down
he'd
when
have
she's
kids right now.
35 or
I wouldn't want to be with him.
No, I'm just saying. You're just saying creepy doesn't really do anything. Because
Well, I think that if you're high value, you would probably have kids by the time you're 52.
Hold on a second. High value for a woman is fertility.
That's
That's
the
not
only value of
necessarily
women.
true,
Is
yeah.
that what I'm
No, I just
clarifying?
said high value would include fertility, and for men to look at women, the ones who are fertile will be younger, and you're just saying it's creepy, and yet at the same
But what makes
time,
Leonardo
perspective-based.
high value?
what's that?
Makes Leonardo.
Leonardo.
What? Because he has money? Like, is that his only value? Like, I'm so confused.
Oh my God.
I don't know. He's
pretty talented.
Who's value?
I mean, yeah, he's talented, but I mean, I wouldn't mess there.
I also agree that you shouldn't be ran through as a man. You should want, if you're looking to settle down, that's what you're also looking to do. He's not looking to settle down. He's made that clear. He's just going through.
I agree with that.
I think he's actually correct, but we're not talking about whether or not he wants to settle down. We're talking about what is it that men are coded, basically programmed to look at for the first and foremost thing that they're looking at from a female. It's to procreate with them, and to procreate with
doesn't
them,
already do that.
they need to be fertile. So younger women, 20, whatever, you finding it creepy that a 50-year-old is pursuing a 20-year-old, well, let's change the situation. Let's say Leonardo DiCaprio had an epiphany. He said, oh my God, I've wasted my whole life. I need to be a father. I want to be a father. I'm moved to be a father. And he meets a young woman who's willing to be a mother. Is it still creepy?
If he wants to have children, I don't think that he would necessarily want to have children with an 18-year-old.
If he revamps
Probably be
his
looking
whole
for someone
life
a little
to
bit
its-
older.
Did I answer hypotheticals? I said if it's the case.
I did
that
answer your
Leonardo
hypothetical.
DiCaprio, no. Leonardo DiCaprio. I didn't ask what you think Leonardo DiCaprio is thinking. I'm saying
Then he might not find a high value
Stop.
woman.
Let him finish.
if he says if he says, I want to be a father now. I've wasted all my years. I've made whores of all of these women. I want a family. And he meets a woman who's 20 and she wants to be a mother. Is it still creepy if that's the context?
No. I was saying it was creepy that he was dating an 18-year-old and he does not want to settle down. That's what I was saying. You're making a hypothetical and like making me answer a completely different question.
Interesting.
Not what
No,
I was saying.
That's
All
totally
good.
fine. But here's the thing. If it's only creepy because of the intentions, how is it not creepy for people to just bang each other with no intention to settle down? Regardless
Why
of
are you asking me that? I never said that wasn't
Because
creepy.
that's your standard. No, I know, but but that's your standard. Don't you have? I mean, you lead a little bit liberal, don't you? Insofar as women.
When did she say that?
No.
When did she say that?
I could be wrong. That's
She
fine.
never
I'm
once
wrong
said
about that.
I'm liberal or lean that way.
And all of the views she's expressed have been relatively conservative.
Yeah, they
besides
have.
going out.
They actually really have.
Yeah, I could.
I mean,
I've seen
nah.
some reaction
Well, relatively.
from what I've said, and I was wondering if she
Going out
values
doesn't make you
liberation above something else here.
Wait, what do you mean?
know,
Sorry, I'm
liberation,
confused.
Freedom. Do you value female liberation? Like, for instance, I'll ask you a harder hypothetical. Is it more valuable to you that women are fully liberated in their rights and expression than to be constrained by societal pressures to be mothers?
I guess it depends on what their end goal is. If someone wants to be a mother, that's probably liberating to them. I mean, I want to be a mom eventually. I don't want to be a mom now, but I think it'd be very liberating for me to eventually be a mom. But if someone, like she doesn't want to have kids, it's probably very liberating to not have kids and do stuff that makes her happy.
Right. So happiness, what the woman wants to make her happy above any sort of obligations for society.
Why is
wouldn't
it
you
so
wanna be happy?
obligated
Wait,
to
I'm
society?
confused.
Like,
This
and
feminist. I
coding.
don't care if she holds traditional positions or is partial to understanding traditional positions.
So
If it's the
happiness
case-
equals feminist is what you're saying?
If it's the case that you're a female and you value your own freedom and liberation to be happy, and you think first and foremost that women should be happy, right? Which is totally arbitrary, by the way.
I'd love to know why. Do you want your wife to be
want
unhappy?
to make his woman
Is your wife
happy?
happy? Do you want your wife to be happy?
Yeah, do you?
No, I'm asking you a question. Do you want your wife to be happy?
This is why women can't think rationally.
I think
No,
you should
I'm asking
answer
you
her
a question. Why can't
question.
you answer my question?
You're still doing it. I heard 5 questions.
She asked
Do you want your wife to be happy? Do you want your wife to be happy?
My wife's happiness doesn't trump her obligation to be a mother.
Wow.
So you
I
don't
mean,
care
she's a
about
mother
your wife
now. I
being
mean, yeah,
happy.
I understand what you're saying.
Would
You know, she should
not
be a
wanna
mother,
married
but
to you.
that's an insane statement to say that you do not care about your wife's happiness.
You all went silent because you can't answer this question. If your obligations trump your wants and desires to be happy, you go all silent, right?
Their
No, it depends on
obligations
what your
to who-
obligation is.
Yeah,
If
why
you were a
to
mother-
society?
If you were a mother and you did something that didn't provide happiness to you, but it actually served the purpose of being a good mother to your children, would you still do it?
I think if you want to be a mother, taking care of your kids makes you happy.
So,
Even
like,
if
waking
there's
up
hard
every day and
moments.
take your kids
So
to
you
school.
can't
Something
I mean,
you
I'm
wanna
sure that
do,
there's
but
always
something you're
hard
gonna do.
moments in
But
being a
you're
mother.
assuming, like, again, what about the people who don't want to be mothers and the people who have agreed that they also don't want kids? Like, a husband can also not want kids. You're only going off of that dynamic where it's like the man and the woman have to have children. It's so caveman.
It's caveman to want to have children. Do you know that we're running
It's
out of
caveman
people
to
in
like
society?
presume that it's the only thing in this world that needs to happen and that we're society.
There's just more-
like, there's
more
so
to
much
life
more to a
than
woman
just that.
than children.
Let me just reframe what this lady just said. You
Lady.
act like the main thing that needs to happen for
funny.
society to exist is procreation. That's so caveman.
That's not what she said. She was just saying that life shouldn't
You gonna
only
talk for
matter.
her? That's not very feminist of you. You need
What?
to talk for her.
I don't mind that.
I'm not talking
she's
for her, I
actually
just
not
heard what
talking.
she's
She's sticking up
saying.
for another woman.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's your name, Jim Bob? You're funny, bro.
I would just also argue that
Jim
you
Bob,
said that your
Jim
wife's
Bob.
happiness does not supersede her obligations as a mother.
Obligations.
She's chosen to be a mother, so she's then chosen to prioritize her family first and foremost. Some people have not chosen to be mothers and are still prioritizing that. And if you have not yet chosen to be a mother or never will, then it doesn't
Irrelevant.
quite get in the same vein to prioritize being a mother if you
It's
never want to be a
irrelevant.
mother.
It's not.
irrelevant
You're just
to
mad
my
that it's not
argument.
agreeing with you. That's not irrelevant
irrelevant
to what
to
you're
my
saying.
argument. All
It's
she-
not irrelevant.
No, it's
Exactly.
not.
Exactly.
All she said is Some women don't want to be mothers, right? So they don't want to do that. That's her preference, right? I'm saying once you're a mother, isn't it the case that you're going to prioritize your obligation to be a mother over your temporary preferences and standard for happiness?
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
why you should wait until you're ready to
That's
be a
all you
mother
need
in
to
order
do.
to
Yes,
become a
that's all
mother.
you have to say is yes, and that could be next topic.
What?
Right. Clock that.
Brian, people in whatever chat are saying my audio is low.
I just
really high.
boosted it. Wait, stop the talking as we can't hear. I just boosted it, so hopefully that helps
Okay.
a little bit. Here, I'm going to let some of these chats come through, but I do want to come back to something in just a bit. But we have Lucas again. For whomever, guys, stop. For whomever in the chat claiming that I'm a womanizer, well, I'm not. Maybe 20 years ago, now I'm married. As you saw in the super chat, Chair 7, you are correct. I agree. For that matter, I hold myself, where he says continued. These came in about 30 minutes ago or so. I'm called to a rigidly higher duty of virtue, competence, and integrity as a husband, as a fellow Orthodox Christian, a cradle one at that. I suspect both Jim Bob and Andrew fully appreciate that standard. All right, Lucas, thank you for that. And then there's a couple of super chats I need to let through here. We have one from Lucas. Well, if nothing else, the young men watching this are getting a real-time tutorial of the type of women not to start a family with. Oh shit, shots fired. Really, a leader doesn't issue orders. Rather, you have a incessant nagging conversations with him. Try telling George Patton that. That's a good
I'm really curious
interesting
what
thing.
he does for his work. He has
I think
a lot
he's
of
an
money
attorney.
to spend.
I think he's an attorney.
Sounds like it.
I know.
Pretty sure he's an
No,
attorney,
literally.
right? In New York City, I think. Zulu Niner says, if you should be expected to submit and dedicate themselves as a woman, then that should be an expectation for a man too, in my opinion. So if a man is in the mental concept of you can be replaced, then how are you any better?
I know that's right, Zulu.
Yep.
I agree with that.
And again, I don't think
Men
that
don't submit to
high
women.
value men are not ran through as well.
No, you can't have two leaders in a relationship.
I don't think that's what the person was saying. I think they were talking about the mental concept of being replaced for something better. I don't think they were talking about submission. I think it was like that
okay.
specific aspect of the sentence.
Sure.
Yeah.
About like viewing
mean-
people and partners as interchangeable, replaceable.
Yeah.
And also,
I would.
when you marry, you become one. So when you become one, that means you are the leader together for the family, for
Yeah.
your
No,
relationship.
you're not the leader together. No, you're not the leader together.
Yes,
When you
yes.
marry, no, you're not both equal leaders. That's not even true legally. You can't have 50% of ownership or direction over anything. From a Christian perspective, which you were sort of LARPing as before, Red Shirt, you were like, oh, you get married and God, my thing is to God. Well, no, we're both to be submissive to God, but if you're talking about Christianity, it's hierarchical and patriarchal. That means there's a high priest called Jesus Christ, and beneath that, there are men, right? And so men actually lead the family. The man is the head of the family, and the woman is the neck. They work together, but they're not equal partners, okay? They're not equal leaders.
Yo, Billy Bob shut it down. He was like,
But like you without a neck, there's no head, right?
no.
Right.
So it's again,
Without a body. No,
it's a
it's a
give and a
body.
take.
It's a body.
it's exactly. There's
No.
not one without the other. Just because, like, if a man's a leader, there has to be
Bro.
someone to lead, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but they have to
Family.
follow.
Right.
Do women have to follow?
And they also have input in the
Do
situation.
women follow? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do
Men follow.
No, men don't follow women.
If a man wants a woman that's a leader, that's
Sure.
definitely a thing.
But,
so,
That is
but
a thing, yeah.
keep that energy. Keep that energy. You better initiate. You better go 50-50 on the first dates.
Yeah.
Don't expect
If
him to
that's
protect
what you guys want.
Don't expect him to protect you. Don't expect him to make decisions. Oh, what do you want to eat? Whatever you want. If you want a man who's going to be a leader, you got to be a follower. Otherwise, go deal with the soy boys.
Right.
But you can't be demanding a man be a leader and holding to his traditional gender roles, and you're a modern woman.
I don't think anybody's saying that, or at least
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not.
not. Yeah.
No,
We're
I don't
not.
think
We're
that's
not
what we're
saying
saying.
that at all.
But okay, here, let me think of an example here. What's a good one? Oh, okay. You're dating. Do you want to like have a career? What's
Me?
your? Yeah.
I don't really know what I want to do right now. I'm just focused on soccer, but honestly, I would be okay with being a stay-at-home mom. I'm not gonna lie.
Same. That's
Okay.
the truth.
I would love to stay at home and take care of my kids and cook and clean. I like
homemaker.
cleaning. So
Homemaker.
Awesome.
I would love to do that too.
Homemaker.
I think that's
But
what
I
we've
wouldn't
been
mind having a
trying to,
career either. I don't really know what I want. I am 18
What
years
if you
old.
were, but so you're young, so you're still kind of figuring out what your potential interest could be.
Yep.
You're still, working your way through school, whatnot, so
Yeah.
you're not exactly dead set on that. But you do say you could see yourself, well, it's hard because you said, I'd like to be a stay-at-home mom. So there are women, this example I would give would
Yeah,
be
they would be
better
like, oh, I
suited-
don't want to be stay-at-home mom.
Not necessarily, but there are women who would say, for example, I want to prioritize my
Like their
career,
career, yeah.
and my career, whatever, perhaps it's in a creative field or something.
Yeah.
I really want to keep working, and I ask, well, let's say you met a guy who could support you and you didn't have to work, but he was like, his standard was, in order for you to be with me, I want you to stop working and I'm going to take care of everything. There are women who will say, nah, I'm going to keep working.
Well, yeah, because some people enjoy working, and so it's like if that's what they value over the being a stay-at-home mom, that's what they value, and it all comes down to preference.
Yeah, and sure, but that wouldn't be submissive. That wouldn't be following his lead.
I guess I don't understand what you're saying.
Following a lead would mean that if you had a preference, if you had a proclivity toward like going out or doing this or that, and you were in a relationship, or let's say you were married, let's add children, being that you want to have children. I love that. Is that what Brian is saying is that following the leader might include abandoning some preferences. So that's why we asked you early on, Chair 7, or what's your name?
My name's Mac. Or McKinley, whichever's easier.
Yeah, early on, we got into, well, what's the threshold where you start to abandon your preferences? If you think that you want to have children, I would ask you, how many could you see yourself having?
I don't know why. I've always just thought about having 3 kids, but then sometimes I'll go back and be like, actually, I don't know if I want to have any. But that's not because I don't want to have kids. That's more because of like, I'm scared to have kids, like just with like how society is. But I do want to have kids, and if I did, I'd want 3.
Okay, cool. Well, let's follow your preference happiness standard for a second.
Okay.
Do you think you'd be happier as a mother with more energy or less?
What do you mean? Like just in general?
More energy.
Physical
energy.
Well, no, I probably wouldn't have as much energy. But I'm a pretty high energy person, so.
Well, the question's
have a
simple.
lot.
Would you rather have more energy as a mother of 3 or less?
More energy.
Okay. If you think you want to have 3 children and you want to have more energy than less, wouldn't it follow that you might prioritize having children earlier than later?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean she has
But
to
I'm
start
18, so I don't want to have kids right now.
Okay, hold on.
I wanna say something when you're done.
What preferences right now are more important than the long-term choice of having children and filling out the vision of your life that you say you want here on this podcast right now?
Yeah, before I want to build a family and a relationship, I want to make sure I'm happy with my life because I don't think it would be good. No, I don't think it would be good for me to have kids if I was unhappy. I don't think I would be a good mother. So I want to be content with.
Wait,
No,
hold on.
No, you hold on. I'm answering your question. What do you mean?
What if your determination of what makes you happy is given by a standard without children, and your standard for happiness?
I don't even
would
think it's
change
just
with
about
children?
being happy.
You're
It's about being ready.
Hold on, pink shirt. What if your standard that you're using is completely closed to just being single right now, and so your evaluation of what makes you happy could fundamentally change? I certainly, and maybe people in the chat, or maybe anyone else who has had children, when you hold your child for the first time, I promise you, the things you think are your preferences and the things you thought made you happy, I'm telling you, if not fully fade away, partially fade away. And that's why I asked the question. It seems like, to be fair, do you admit that you're judging your standard for happiness from a pre-child position, and you couldn't possibly imagine judging happiness from a post-child position?
Do you think I would be more happy right now if I had a child? I live at home and I am a hostess. Do you think I would be more happy? That's a genuine question.
Do I think you'd be happier with a child? Well, if you had a child, you would be with a man who you thought was going to be a good husband, right? You'd be married.
Well, that wasn't my question.
Can I
I was
say
asking about if I had.
Well, no, your question's loaded with, I wouldn't advocate for you just having a child. I would advocate for you, first of all, being married to the church, and that the person you're married with is sufficient to have children with. I'm not saying that's easy to just snap your fingers, okay? Just don't get me wrong. I don't think at 18 you could just do this. I'm not saying.
No, I understand.
Most people, like, you're like, let's use a example.
Sure. Sure. I'm talking to her for a second. Can you maybe not make it about you for a split second?
There'd be a good example here, though.
Matt,
Yeah.
if you did have a child, from your own standard, wouldn't you have already married the person? From your own moral
Yeah,
and
no,
ethical
I totally would already
Okay,
be
cool.
married.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you're already married and you have children, you're in love, you found the man of your dreams,
Yep.
you have settled down. What I'm pointing to is just an invitation for you, Mac, is to understand that maybe the thing that you think is readiness now is judging from a standard that you only have access to now, and the standard for happiness and fulfillment fundamentally changes after you find that man and after you have the children. That's all I'm asking you to consider.
No, I think maybe if I was with someone that I see myself getting married to and being a great father, I would maybe be more open to having kids. I still think I'd want to be a little bit older than I am now. I'd probably want to beat teen pregnancy, and I'd want to, do things that I enjoy first. Like I love playing soccer. Like I could not imagine not playing soccer. And so I wouldn't want to give that up to be a mom right now. I think in the future, eventually I'm not always going to want to play soccer. I'm not always going to want to be in school. I'm not always going to want to go out. But when I'm ready, I'm going to be open to give all that up to have a kid. But I also think that you could say that readiness to anything, like you never know what you're ready for until you're doing it. That could apply to anything, not just kids.
Correct. That's why I don't really use it. Myself didn't think I was ready to have a child, and it turns out I was.
Yeah.
I thought 100% not, though. I like fully. If you heard me speak as a person, you'd be like, "Don't have kids, dude." Like,
Well, I'm glad that you
in
had
the right
kids.
mind.
I'm glad that it was something that makes you happy.
How many kids do you have?
3.
3. Are they older, younger? You said you've been
No.
with your wife for 10 years, 20?
They're younger.
Oh, how was it back to back?
Yeah, every 2 years, which is pretty ideal. I think.
I was
everyone,
gonna
I
say,
think
do you feel like
should
you did
go
it better
for
like
first
that with
6.
having your kids 2 years